Hey everybody, you gotta hang out with me just for a few minutes. I got an announcement, a little bit of an encouragement, but I got some news for you, so hang out with me right now. So this morning you got an email. It's an e-news email. I don't know if anybody know anything about it. It's a joke. Please read those emails. We work really hard to communicate the things that are going on in our church, and we hope that you read them and find some hope in them and actually know what's happening. But normally we send those on Wednesdays, Thursdays, somewhere midweek to try to get your attention and kind of let you know what's happening. Tuesday I was writing that email, and it was one of those moments. It wasn't really a writer's block or anything like that. It was just emotionally, spiritually, and physically, I had just kind of hit a wall. I was just exhausted. I was a little downtrodden. I'm sure you've all had those days. And I just had nothing. And so usually that little section in the beginning that I write a word of encouragement, I begged God to give me something, and I was like, I can't fake it. I just don't feel anything right now. So I asked the staff and I said, hey, anybody want to write this? And they're like, no. So here I am Friday morning. I wake up and it was like an email has got to go out. And God gave me such a good word. And you can read it if you want, but I'm gonna just do a quick little devotional on it and then give you this news that I got, but because it's part of it. The world we live in is, I know you're tired of hearing everybody saying it's so weird, it's crazy, it's odd, it's the craziest thing I've ever been through. We all know that by now. The fact is, we have got to get through it, and we got to do it best and get through it together with one another. And what God gave me this morning is that no matter what we face, we always have a choice, just like the psalmist did. So the psalmist who wrote Psalm 95, David, in verses 1 and 2, he says, come, let's shout praises to God. Raise the roof. I mean, he's like, raise the roof for the rock who has saved us. Let's march into his presence, singing praises, lifting the rafters with our hymns. So you have to understand this about the psalmists. They wrote these psalms in a time that you and I, if we lived in them, we'd say, this is the weirdest time we've ever been in. We haven't seen half of what they saw back in those days in the ancient world. It was tough. It was really tough. And we know this because of the records we have of it in the Old Testament and New Testament. But they also wrote moments where they lamented and they grieved and they mourned and they had loss, and they really shared some really honest opinions with God. In fact, this was their other choice. In a moment, they chose to praise, or they chose to sound like a lament. And there's over 50 laments, and there's a book called Lamentations. So if you're wondering if lament is something that we should be doing, it's okay to do. God knows your laments before you could even lament them. But it says, stand up, God. I'm talking to God here. Put your holy fury against the furious enemies that are before me. Wake up, God. My accusers have packed the courtroom. It's judgment time. And then he says this, take your place on the bench. Imagine saying that to God. Reach for your gavel. Throw out the false charges against me because I'm ready. As if God's not already at the bench. As if God doesn't already have a gavel in his hand, knowing what's going on in our world. He is already there, but sometimes he just wants us to hear our own selves process our grief and our mourning and our suffering. And I can tell you this, today I had two choices when I got up. I could be frustrated and lament, or I could give praise. And this morning I felt like, man, I need to give praise to God. But I know this, if I would have written that email to you tonight after about 4 o'clock, I may not have written the same email, because I got a phone call from one of my supervisors that said, even though you have tested for COVID 3 times in the last 8 days, your most recent test yesterday on Friday was positive. And she looked at me and she told me on the phone, she didn't look at me, she told me on the phone, she said, Donnie, take time to just enjoy quarantine. Just enjoy it. Be at rest. And know that you're going to get over this, and we're 100% behind you. I need that from you. I need that from our church. We are going to have probably more people within our own community that are going to get this. And we can't hide from it or run from it. But what we can do is pray through it, and we can worship through it, and we can lament through it, and we can be a people who actually see both spectrums and realize that God is okay with both. And here's why: because he sits on the bench. We don't even need to call him there, even though he's okay with us calling him there. And he has the gavel in his hand. He will overcome. So tomorrow, here's what's happening. I was so jacked about tomorrow, so excited about worshiping together. The sanctuary looks amazing. It is beautiful. We have it ready to go for a brand new Christmas series and season. But listen, God knew that was happening. He was way ahead of us, and he knows that when we actually experience that moment, it's going to be euphoric. It's going to be all praise and honor and glory to the name. The name. That's the title of the message series. So join us tomorrow on Zoom. The link is below you. It's also going to be on the webpage. But I want you to know that we're just going to have a Zoom call tomorrow to worship together, to encourage one another, and then we're going to go from there, and we're going to ask God to guide and lead us, okay? Hey, my family covets your prayers. I covet your prayers, but as you can see, I'm feeling actually okay, and I'm believing that God is actually going to overcome this in me, out of me, through me, and with you, okay? So we're good. We're awesome. We love you. We're thankful for our church, and we just don't want anybody else getting sick. So hang out with us tomorrow on Zoom and share the love with everybody else and let us know that's what we're doing. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.